Hey stargazers, welcome back. My name is Nick. I'm a theaters manager at the Adler Planetarium, and you're watching Skywatch Weekly. Well, this week is shaping up to be a beautiful one for skywatching, no matter where you are and what quality sky you've got. Our old standbys right now, the planets Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, they're still gracing the skies. And then joining them, we've got the beautiful moon. Now, this is a beautiful time of the year, a chance to bundle up, go outside, and see what you can see. But keep in mind, there's more to do out there than just identifying stars, constellations, and planets that you might see. There's also things in the sky to piece together, leading to kind of a big picture understanding of how the sky works. Let me give you an example. If you go out tonight and look to the southwest, you'll see the beautiful crescent moon, and to its upper left, Jupiter and Saturn. If you've been watching over the past few nights, the moon started the week much lower and thinner, and each day has been farther east and more full. Tomorrow night, the moon will be in between and a bit below Jupiter and Saturn, forming a beautiful triangle. And in a week, it will have made it all the way over to Mars, which is currently in the east after sunset. What do we notice there? Well, all of the planets and the moon are along this line in the sky. And at other times of the night and the year, you can notice that Mercury and Venus are along it, and even Uranus, which we mentioned last week, is along this line. What are we seeing there? Why aren't the planets randomly scattered over the sky? Why don't we ever see the moon in the bowl of the Big Dipper? Let's zoom out and take a look. Here is the orbit of Earth. If we consider that to be a flat tabletop, notice how the other orbits of the planets align. They're all in roughly the same plane. Some are more tilted than others, but overall they align pretty closely. And by the way, there's no real reason why Earth's orbit should be the flat one. It just happens to be the planet we do most of our stargazing from. But why should the orbits of the planets be flat? You might also ask, why should the rings of Saturn be flat, or the orbits of Jupiter's large moons, or for that matter, the Milky Way galaxy and other galaxies? The answer is a big term, conservation of angular momentum. Now don't worry, there's no test at the end. This is the same thing that makes it hard to balance on a bicycle that isn't moving, but allows you to remain upright and lean into turns as you pedal along. With solar systems, it turns out that as stars form, there's leftover stuff around them that forms into planets. And as that happens, things collapse together, spin faster, and tend to end up orbiting in roughly the same plane. Now, it isn't exact. Mercury is pretty far off. And consider our moon. Its orbit is tilted relative to Earth's by about 5 degrees. That's why we don't get a lunar eclipse every month, followed by a solar eclipse 2 weeks later. It usually misses Earth's shadow, or the sun. And it doesn't always cover up planets. But when it does, it's all the more amazing because of its rarity. So I challenge you this week to get out there and see that plane of the solar system in the sky. Especially right after sunset, find where the sun went down. Follow the line up to the moon, up through Jupiter and Saturn, and across to Mars. That's something you can see from either hemisphere right now, and from any type of sky, whether dark and pristine, or light polluted and hazy. Something else to notice this week is a difference between stars and planets. For the most part, planets don't twinkle. Unless it's extremely turbulent or they're very low in the sky, planets tend to shine with a very steady light, whereas stars generally twinkle. You can see it for yourself. Using your stargazing knowledge, or perhaps a stargazing app, see how steady the light from Jupiter, or Saturn, or Mars is, compared with Vega in the Summer Triangle. We've talked before about how the Earth's atmosphere affects our view of the sky, especially through telescopes. This is a video I took of Vega last week. Watch as I unfocus the telescope. You can see the effect of the air moving in front of it. This was a night where the stars were twinkling quite a bit. So it makes sense that things would twinkle. But why don't the planets? Well, stars are huge, but also very far away. And even through tremendously large telescopes, it's hard to see the disk of a star. They're essentially pinpoints of light. With planets, though, they're much smaller than stars, but also much closer to us. Even through a small telescope, you can begin to see the disk of Jupiter or the rings of Saturn. With planets, they're disks of light that are generally much larger than the air pockets that would cause interference. So any interference only affects part of the disk, and the rest of the light appears steady. It's quite noticeable once you know what to look for, and it's a great first hint that the bright thing you're looking at is a planet. Now, if you went to space, the stars and planets would shine with equal steadiness. And in fact, that's one benefit of sending telescopes to space. They don't have to look through Earth's atmosphere. So next time you're outside, take a look at Mars, rising in the east, or Jupiter and Saturn toward the south. Identifying them is satisfying, and following their movements can certainly be rewarding. But fitting those observations into a larger picture of the Earth we live on, and even the solar system we inhabit, can be a truly eye-opening experience. I hope you get to experience that this week. Well, that's what we have for you today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and stay up to date on all of Adler's digital offerings. Also follow the Adler Planetarium on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Happy stargazing, and we'll see you next week.